Hello everyone, my name is Illyrio, and today I'm going to show you this mushroom stem farm which produces 8.3 thousand blocks per hour. Compared to my first design, this one is twice as fast, it's easier to build, and it's also fully reliable. The way this farm works is very similar to the first design, but in this one I'm not moving the stem around, which makes the farm much simpler. The player stands below the farm and is planting the mushroom, and once it grows it will directly mine the stems. At the top I have a TNT duper that is used to remove the top part of the mushroom to be able to plant another one. But how does the player plant a new mushroom? Well, in the previous design I had a trapdoor moved in front of the player, but with this layout I realized you don't need anything for the player to plant a new mushroom. Because once the mushroom grows, the player will mine the bottom stem and then place the mushroom against the second one, and then it will start mining the third and fourth stem. And this overall makes the farm a lot simpler than the first one, and it also allows to have 3 bone meal dispensers instead of 1. There is just one issue with this setup, is that the player has a very short time to plant the mushroom, and so if it fails to plant it, then the farm will stop. But there is a way to prevent this from happening, and you have basically 2 options. You either need to use carpet mode on the server, and this way the player will never fail to plant, but I understand that not everyone wants or can have carpet mode on their server, and so there is also another solution that can be built in vanilla. And the solution is pretty simple. Once the player mines the stem, it will move a block in front of it, and that will allow the player to plant the mushroom with a lot more time. But even then, if you have a very bad ping or if there is a big lag spike, there is a chance that a farm will break. And that's why I added this clock here, which will move the block in front of the player every now and then. So this way, even if you have a bad connection on a vanilla server, you can be sure that the farm will never break, and if it stops, it will start again. I added a lot of items in this clock, but if the farm stops really often, you can remove some item, and so the farm will restart more often. Of course, this way the farm will be a bit slower, but it's still close to 8000 items per hour. There is also technically a third option. If you don't have carpet mode but you have Tweakeroo, you can use fast right click and the farm will work, but if you have a bad ping there is also a chance that the farm will stop. So this is basically how the farm works, and before making the block by block tutorial, I'm gonna briefly talk about the rest of the farm, and I'm also gonna mention why you can't really make this farm faster. As I mentioned previously, the farm uses 3 bone meal dispensers, and all of these are at 2 times hopper speed, which means it's a total of 54,000 bone meal per hour at maximum. And instead of having multiple unloaders, I'm using just 1 hopper line with bone blocks instead of bone meal. Here I have a crafter that is directly uncrafting bone block into the dispenser, but you can really constantly power the crafter, otherwise if the dispenser is full, it will spit out bone meal everywhere. So instead I have a way to detecting when there is not enough bone meal in the dispenser, the comparator will turn off, it will send a signal to the crafter to craft more bone meal. And I have the same thing for the 3 dispensers. And that means that you need 8000 bone blocks per hour, and so you can just use 1 hopper line, which makes the entire thing much simpler. At the top I have 3 hoppers to collect the brown mushroom. They are sent down to the dropper, which is activated each time a mushroom grows. This way the player always have enough mushroom. And at the top there is the TNT duper, which can dupe TNT every 8 game tick compared to 12 with the previous design, and it's sending TNT on each side with this line block here. This is a design I made with ASG because I wanted a TNT duper that is directly down accelerating the TNT without using any minecart or coral farm. And so the TNT is duped and directly pushed by the slime block. Here I need some water to align the TNT against this side of the blocks, and that's why I have this obsidian here as well. It's to make sure it's correctly aligned, and this way when you have multiple TNT at the same spot, they won't knock each other. This is a TNT duper on its own. It has a clock integrated to dupe every 8 game tick, and this duper is actually quite small if I remove the water and the clock. To dupe TNT you need to first bud it, then update it and move it in the same tick. Usually you have a minecart to bed it, and the TNT is attached to a slime block with a coral fan, so when it moves, the coral fan will update the TNT. In this case, the 2 observers here are used to bud the TNT, then it will be moved by this piston and updated by this observer. And the cool thing with this one is that you can actually stack it and put another one on the other side, which means you end up with 2 TNT drippers. And they can work also at an 8-game tick interval. So this was a very simplified explanation of the TNT dripper. Now let's go back to the farm. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, this farm is twice as fast as the first one I made, and there are a few reasons for that. I'm not moving the stems, and I'm using 3 dispensers instead of 1, so the mushroom grow much faster, and also the TNT dripper is a bit faster. But as you can see, it still takes a while to remove the top part of the mushroom. It usually takes 3 TNT, sometimes 4, and you would think that if I remove the top part much faster, then I could make the farm also faster. Since the mushroom is not moving, when the player mines the stem, we need to wait until they all fall down and get collected by the minecart below. And if I grow another mushroom too quickly, then the stems won't have time to fall down. As you can see, sometimes they barely have enough time. And so I try to make farms with more TNT to remove the top part instantly. But even if the farm produces around 16,000 mushroom stems, more than half of it are destroyed. So in the end the farm is actually slower and much more complicated. And so that's why I think it's the maximum speed you can have for this type of farm. The solution for a faster farm could be to move from the single core design and have the player plant a lot more mushrooms at the same time. And it's technically possible, but you will have to move the player around, and it's not easy to move it while still being able to plant and mine the mushrooms. At least fast enough. So I was able to make a design that was around the same speed with 24 mushrooms. It's probably possible to optimize it, but the design was the same speed as this one and much bigger, so I don't really think it's possible, at least not with the ideas I have. So I don't think it will be possible to make the farm faster, but I would like to be proved wrong, so if you have any idea, please let me know in the comments. This farm has 4 different versions. I made 2 that worked with carpet mod, the one I showed, and another one with box loaders, where I have shulker boxes of bone blocks, a box unloader, and then the items at the bottom are sent to a box loader. And so if you want a lot of stems, it will be better to use this one, so you have a much bigger storage. And if you just want a few stacks, you can use the small one. And then I have 2 versions that work on vanilla, which are exactly the same, but there is the clock and the thing to push the block in front of the player. And also this one with the box loaders. If you have carpet mod, I'm assuming you can also have Lightomatica, so I'm only gonna do a block by block tutorial on a simple vanilla version. This is everything you're going to need to build this farm. You can start by placing the chests and hoppers for the storage. Then you can place the hopper minecart with the podzol on top, and you can place the 3 dispensers around the podzol. Then you can place the crafters on top of them. They need to be pointing down. You can place the observers to power the dispensers. Then you can place the 4 comparators. You will need composters on each side. And then blocks, node blocks, and observers looking at the node blocks. Below you can place an observer, a solid block, and a node block behind it. And then you can place another observer in the front to make the clock, a sticky piston, and a solid block behind it. Then you will place 6 glass blocks. You will place the lamp, which will be the on-off switch, with the lever and the redstone dust on the side to power the pistons. Then you can build the hopper clock. This is a standard Ether hopper clock. You can place 2 observers looking at the redstone block and place glass blocks on top of the overclock to prevent items from going inside. Then on the other side, we will do the same as we did on the first side and place 1 comparator, solid block, node block, and an observer to power the crafter. And then we will place a comparator on the side with the barrel. Next to this comparator we can place an upside down stair, a sticky piston and a chain, and we can place the observer next to it, as well as a repeater on 4 ticks. I realize I placed this observer wrong, it's supposed to be facing up. Now we'll place all the hoppers to feed the bone blocks into all the crafters. We can also place these 2 observers to power the piston and place the hoppers below to feed the mushroom to the bottom dispenser. Well, actually the bottom hopper needs to be a dropper, and then you can place a trapdoor just below it. Then you can enclose this area with the glass blocks. Around the top hopper you can add 3 more hoppers and then place solid blocks on top of the one that feed the bone blocks. Then you can add 2 more and place the double chest. Above the right node block you can place an ender chest and the 2 blocks of obsidian. On the opposite side you can place those 3 temporary blocks and then place the obsidian just like so. You can then place 1 more obsidian on the left and add those 12 blocks of obsidian. And you can add this block here, which I forgot to place. Near the on-off switch you can add 1 sticky piston, 2 slime blocks and 2 redstone blocks. Then place a temporary block and then 9 slime blocks. And a redstone block at the top. At the center of the farm above the observer you can place a 5 temporary block, then obsidian and go diagonally to join the other obsidian tower. For the duper we can start by placing a slime block on the right, then placing a sticky piston behind it, and 2 obsidian blocks on top of them, then a normal piston, 2 glass blocks, a stair, another glass block, and then a sticky piston and a leaf block on the other side. Place the sign on the obsidian below, and then you can waterlog the stair and the leaf. On the sticky opposite to the leaf you can place a wall, then 2 observers looking at the wall, a sticky piston facing up, a glass block, and then 2 observers facing down. On top of them you can place 2 activator rails, an observer facing down, a normal block on top of the piston, and a trapdoor on top of the wall. Place a temporary block on top of the redstone block, then a sticky piston and an observer to power the trapdoor. On top of the trapdoor you can place an observer and a sticky piston facing up, another observer, and then the TNT surrounded by obsidian and a glass block. Then you can place a dropper and 2 observers. On the next layer you can place 2 observers facing down, a log, and then 3 slime blocks. And on the last layer you can place a solid block, the leaf block, then you will place first a normal piston, then a sticky piston, and at last the redstone block. When the farm is almost done, you can place the items inside the hopper clock, you can place 2 unstackables inside the barrel, and then fill the composters at the fill level of 2. Place a stack of bone meal in each of the 3 dispensers, and make sure you block all the slots in the crafter except the first one. And you can then place the bone blocks in the 2 double chests at the top. And the farm is done. Now that the farm is built, we can actually use it. So to turn it on, you just have to flick the lever. You can make sure the TNT is working fine. At first it will land on the ender chest here, but it won't blow up anything. That's why the ender chest is here. Then I can go stand on the glass block. I can place the first mushroom against the dispenser here. Then I can place the mushroom in my offhand. And I need an axe with steel touch and also unbreaking so the farm can last longer. I will stand in the middle of the block and hold right click and left click. And now the farm is working. And remember, if the farm keeps stopping, you can always reduce the amount of items in this hopper clock. Okay, that will be it for this video. I hope you enjoy the farms, and I will see you in the next one.